So before jumping into the topic of this video, I just want to give you a little bit of context of my life. So as a fresher, I joined one MNC and it was a service-based company and I worked there for 2 years. And then like in the March of this year, I switched to a product-based company. So while this switching period, I gave around 3 to 4 interviews and I had similar experience in this 3 to 4 interviews. So basically they say that you can drive your interview, and that is true. Like, you can actually drive your interview, you can take your interview the way you want. So I'll just quickly jump to the part where what happens into the actual interview. So I gave around 3 to 4 interviews, out of which 2 I got selected and I got offered for those 2. So I'll just quickly jump into the section. So first of all, it is the introduction round, like the basic introduction, like where you stay, where you work, what is your experience and everything. Then they ask you like what projects you have worked on. So earlier in TCS, I was working on chatbots, creating websites on the microservices Docker. So I had to explain all those things. So once you explain your projects, then they will ask questions on that project, like whatever services you used for that project, then they will ask questions on those things. So then you can drive that interview on the services you have used. So if you're not sure about certain services in your project, you can skip those things while you are explaining, and you can give more focus on the services you are more comfortable with. So that way they will ask you the questions on the things which you are mentioning. So once that thing is done, the third step is they will ask you questions on the basic services, and by basic I mean Lambda functions, S3 which is storage, then databases like DynamoDB and RDS, and then networking like VPCs and everything. So these are the basic services, servers, EC2. So then they will ask you a question on these services. So first interview I had with Deloitte. So there were some questions he asked around this. There was one trick question regarding S3, like if it is a global service or if it is a region-based service, because at the time of creating S3 bucket, we provide a region, but it is a global service. So questions like that. Then there was a question around EC2 instances, like if you want a certain instance for 2 years. So there is a concept with the EC2 that you can buy it for 1 year or for 3 years. So he was asking me like what would be the cost optimized way to buy an instance for 2 years. So it was like buy it for 1 year and then renew your EC2 instance for another 1 year. That way you can optimize your cost. And there was one trick question about the Lambda function. Like he asked me, how can you host a website using the Lambda function? So at that point I was a bit confused and I said I have never read that we can host a website via Lambda function, but if we can, then I have not read about it yet, so I don't know about that. So be straightforward in your interview. If you don't know things, say I don't know. If you think that this might be possible, you can be frank and fair with the interviewer. And then so this was like the basic services which they ask, which interviewer asked me in those 3 to 4 interviews. And after that they jumped to the scenario based questions. Scenario based are mostly like in the 2 interviews I got this similar question, like if you are hosting a website, because my project was on website hosting. According to your projects, your scenario based questions might differ. So because I was working on a website, so they were asking me like, if for a certain day you get much load, then what will you do on those days? Like what configurations you will make to handle those load on those particular hours of that day, and how you will scale down. So if you know concepts of auto scalings and everything, you can easily crack that interview. So basically this is the flow which it goes through, and I would say like you can drive your interview. Whatever you say, they'll question on those things. So be conscious of whatever you are saying, and you can drive your interview. And I got 2 offers. I got one from Barclays and one from the company in which I'm working right now. So yeah, that is it. That was my experience. And if you have interview, I wish you all the best. And do let me know in the comment section if you have cracked that, or whatever the questions you got asked. And do not get demotivated if you don't crack your first interview. Even I didn't crack my first one with the Deloitte, so it's all fine. So do let me know. That's it. Bye.